Hello, and welcome to America's Credit Union's Economic Update. I'm Curt Long, Vice President of Data and Research and Chief Economist. This month, I'll talk about the NCUA's budget for 2026 and 2027. The NCUA released its two-year budget proposal in September. The headline? A sharp 23% reduction to the operating budget in 2026 and eliminating 288 employees. America's Credit Unions wrote a letter outlining our thoughts on the budget, and we testified at the agency's annual budget hearing in early November. Let's first look at the historical budget trend to add some context for the current proposal. It's worth mentioning that the number of credit unions has been shrinking for decades. There are strong grounds for saying that with fewer institutions to supervise, the NCUA's budget should not be growing at all. But even if you take the view that the agency's budget should just grow with inflation, that historical relationship broke down 2 years ago. But with the current proposal, you can see a return to COVID-era spending levels. This resets the NCUA spending on a sustainable path. Now let's analyze the budget by its broad functional areas. First, we look at the administrative offices like Human Resources and Business Continuity, which represent about 20% of the overall budget. Administration costs were a big reason past budgets ballooned. America's credit unions urged the NCUA board to really look at the budgets for these offices. We commend them for heeding that call and slashing the unwarranted growth from recent years. Next, we turn to the biggest part of the NCUA budget at just over half of the total, supervision and examination. This chart shows even more starkly what an outlier the past few years were. Supervision is the NCUA's most important function. Because of that, some may be concerned by the sharp drop in spending. But as this chart shows, the agency is not proposing to do anything it hasn't done before. Until recently, there was a slightly downward trajectory for supervision spending, and the current budget returns to spending levels that prevailed prior to 2023. In both our comment letter and our testimony, we stress the importance of achieving efficiency in supervision and examination. We push the NCUA to focus on the biggest threats to the Share Insurance Fund. The last functional area for us to review is IT. Technology spending, which includes cybersecurity, occupies about 15% of the NCUA's operating budget and a sizable share of the capital budget, which is not shown here. Credit unions know all about the value of technology spending, and there's no doubt that cyber threats are a real issue. So it's perhaps not surprising to see only a mild curb of IT spending in 2026. However, we would like to see the NCUA keep working on transparency in this area. It is notoriously difficult to measure success in tech spending, but we encourage the agency to explore metrics that compare the expected benefits against their actual costs. This shows the NCUA budget's bottom line impact on the median federally chartered credit union. The darker portions of each bar reflect the operating fee that the median FCU pays annually to the NCUA. These operating fees finance a little over 60% of the NCUA's operating budget. The rest is financed through transfers from the Share Insurance Fund, which reduces equity. This cost is effectively spread across all insured credit unions in proportion to their insured shares. Every dollar drawn from the Share Insurance Fund puts a credit union closer to an insurance premium. It also puts a distribution further out of reach. After 2020, the burdens on federal credit unions declined. However, those developments primarily happened outside of the budget process, mostly from credits resulting from surplus cash. Those credits continued annually through 2025, but were swamped by growth in the overall budget, leading to increasing burdens on credit unions. With the 2026 budget cuts, this idea of less burden doesn't have to rely on uncertain one-time credits. America's Credit Unions is acutely aware of the financial burdens that NCUA spending places on credit unions. If this budget is finalized as proposed, it would be a huge step in the right direction. The agency would be contributing to a stronger Share Insurance Fund and a more sustainable industry. Our work with the NCUA will continue and stretch far beyond the budget. We will keep working hard to lower regulatory burdens and ensure the agency evolves with you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next month.